So in this video, we want to create an object player onto our game that will then be able to move around. So let's see how we're going to do that. I'm going to come over here to my right-hand side under my assets. I'm going to click my little plus to create an asset, and I want to specifically create an object. So I'm going to select it. I can double click in it, or I can select and hit create. And I'm going to call it obj_player. Now, it's already ready for you to rename when you do this, but you can also right click and rename it if you want. Now, one issue as you can see is my OBJ player is not inside my objects. So I'm going to come over here and click and drag that up into my objects, and I can move that around. I could have also selected objects and then clicked on my plus button. So these folders are not automatic. You have to do a little bit of controlling them. All right, so I'm going to select my object player, come over here to my far left-hand side under my inspector. I'm going to come down to where it says no sprite, click on that button, choose my sprites folder, and I'm going to choose sprite player idle down. So if you can't see the whole name of it when you're looking at the whole list of sprites, if you hover over it, you get the whole name. So I'm just going to select that. So this is my image right now. And I can click on the edit image, come over here, and I can change this image if I want to. I don't, so I'm just going to close that like that. But I do have this other panel that comes up in my workspace area. This is where I can go in and write code. This is going to be very important for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the add event, and I'm going to choose create. So when my object is created, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to choose between my GML code, GameMaker language code, or GML visual. I'm going to choose the code version for everything in this project. So I'm going to go over here and say, don't ask again for this project. That'll just speed us up a little bit. Now remember, I'm using the second version of the code editor. You might have had to enable it. If you haven't, you'll need to go back and do that. You're going to notice it has a little section here for create. That's important because this is going to give you kind of a where this event is happening. So if you're not familiar with event-driven programming, what that means is when an event occurs, when something happens, in this case, the object is created, I want to perform these lines of code. A lot of languages use events. Java, C#, even JavaScript can. But a lot of times we have to create our own functions, and we have to have a function, they have to assign it. In GameMaker Studio, they simplified it. They have the section that says create. We just put what we want there. And we're going to create two variables. Now, when I create a variable, I can just give it its name and an equals. The first one we're going to do is move speed. We're going to say this equals 1. Now, my semicolon is not technically required. It's just kind of good to have. This is kind of like if you've done anything with JavaScript. So it's a good form to have. It makes sure there's no confusion where my code begins and ends. And so we want to choose that. The same thing we're going to put in is tile map. This is going to let us know where we're going to get applied to. So layer, tile map, get ID, and then we're going to choose tiles_call. Now we need to go and create a second event handler, one for every step or timing of our game. So essentially think of this as every time the screen is redrawn, we want to do a check. So I'm going to come up to here where I see the little plus next to my create. And I'm going to choose step, and I'm going to choose step. So this is going to say every step. Notice that these are organized by groups. That's why I have to say step and step, because I also can do it before my frame begins and after my frame. So I'm just going to choose step. You notice it created a whole new section here. This is like its own little event handler function. And what I'm going to check for is, are my keys being pressed up or down? So are we moving vertically or are we moving left and right? So I'm going to say var, and it's important that we specify var here. We do not have to do it in the create because it's going to be a object level variable. But here, because it's defined by the function, we need to specify var. I'm going to do underscore HOR. That's short for horizontal, just so I don't have to write out horizontal. This is going to equal, and now we're going to check. We're going to use the WASD. So my horizontal is going to look for A and D. So I'm going to use keyboard underscore check. They're going to do ORD D. So what is this doing? Well, I'm doing keyboard check. Was any letters pressed on my keyboard? Then I'm using ORD. What is ORD? ORD is to check the order. It'll say, hey, what character number, what increment is for this D? That way we can handle multilingual keyboards. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but for the letter A. So because I'm going to do the exact same thing, go here and say minus, and then paste. And then I'm just going to replace the A. These keyboard characters are case insensitive, so it doesn't matter if we have the shift key pressed or not. That just makes it a little bit nicer. Okay. They might say, well, why do I have my D minus my A? Well, that lets us know if we're going to be positive or negative, so we know if we're moving to the left or to the right. Okay. I'm going to do the same type thing, except I'm going to say var, VERT for my vertical, and I'm going to do my keyboard check ordinance, but instead of D, I'm going to choose S minus, I'm going to paste that in, and W. So this becomes just a quick way to check, should I be moving up and down or left and right? Now I'm going to use a function that's built into my game engine to control the movement. It's going to be called move and collide. So we're going to move an object and we're going to check for collision. The first thing we need to figure out is how much are we moving? So I'm going to simply say underscore HOR, my horizontal, times my move speed. That can give me how much horizontal movement I need. It may be 0 if neither one of those characters is pressed. Then it's going to be VRT times move speed. And then I'm going to do tile underscore map. Remember, that is my variable that I created in my create that is looking for my layer tile map. Save that, hit F5. My F5 is my run command. This is going to compile my application that I'm building. Right now, I don't have my character even on my screen, so that causes a problem. The good news is it did not detect any errors in my code when it compiled it, so that's good. So I need to add my player object to my game. It's right now not in there. So what I'm going to do is come over here, my assets, and I've selected room tab in my workspace area. I'm going to select obj underscore player, and I'm just going to drag him right there. Now, this says the asset can only be applied to an instance layer, and I don't have one selected. So I'm going to say cancel. I'm going to choose instances. And now we're good. So now he's in an instance layer. He's there. I can click on him. He's there. We're happy. So now, if I come in here and hit run, now as I press my character keys, W goes up, S goes down, A goes to my left, D goes to my right. I can see my lava fully moving and I have control over my object. So this is a great thing. But what we really need to do is kind of control the camera. I see my whole player map at one time. That's not real helpful. So our next video, I'm going to show you how can we shrink down the viewable area so that we see the player map appropriately. So stay tuned for that one coming up next.